Is it 100 degrees inside
More. Literally, the walls were dripping with condensation, and that's also where some drunk fucking fan, while I'm doing the introduction of the Midnight Express, tries to jump in the ring over the top rope, and I'm looking at the camera, we're on live television, and this fan just jumps over the top rope and falls and lands in the ring, and I made some comment about him, and the security drug him out, but it was that kind of crowd, and we were baby faces, so I wasn't worried. And, you know, I told a story. Michael Hayes had teamed up with Jimmy Garvin. Terry Gordy was willing to work dates in between his Japanese commitments, but they needed full-time Freebirds. And this was a big disappointment to me personally, because Jimmy Garvin had been around for a few years at that point, and not only he and Precious were on the road, and he was cheap like me and the Midnight were, so sometimes we'd fly into Atlanta for TV on Crockett's plane. We would all five get a mid-sized rental car and pile in just to go to TV and back to save, you know, having to ride in a cab, and we could go where we wanted and everything and save money. And I'd had pizza in their hotel room, and my wife at the time was friends with their nanny because they had kids, and when they'd go on the road, they left a nanny with them. But Jimmy, all of a sudden, Michael was trying to recreate the Freebirds of 10 years before at that point. And Michael was always a great wrestling personality and a great promo, and the reason why Buddy Roberts became a Freebird was because Michael's work was always the shits. And Bill Watts made Buddy a Freebird so it could be Buddy and Terry with Michael doing the talking, so he was de facto the world's largest wrestling manager, you know. But Michael thought that he was going to get power, and he might have even been on the booking committee for a brief time, but he thought that they were going to be the top heel team and recreate the glory period of 10 years before with the Freebirds. And Jimmy Garvin, who had always been a friend of ours, we'd always had a great relationship with, got on supplements, because he's fucking, what, 5'10", 205, and he was trying to work like a badass. And once again, they didn't want to fucking sell. Now we're baby faces, we're working with another team that don't want to fucking sell. Jimmy Garvin don't want to fucking... I was bigger than Jimmy Garvin, right? As a matter of fact, one time, I'm in the ring, with something's happened, the Freebirds do a run-in, Jimmy runs at me and he throws a punch, and he didn't potato me with the punch, but he came charging to where he body checked me, so I fell down without, you know, having to take a bump, but I still would take a bump and rolled out of the ring and sold while all the shit was cleared out, and Babyface's Dr. Death came in, saved, blah, blah, blah. And I get up and I'm holding my head and I limp and I put my arm around somebody and I walk to the back. He's fucking cutting a promo on me. God damn it. What the fuck? I fucking hit you. You walk like I'm supposed to be carried to the back in the locker room from one punch. Wow. Because he was on the shit. And he thought he was going to be a fucking main event badass. At that fucking size, he had been a chicken shit heel all his life. And now he's cutting a promo on me. I told Eddie Gilbert, who was on the committee at the time, I said, God damn, seriously? What the fuck? You know, he's fucking upset. Just don't worry about it, blah, blah, blah. But that's, Michael Hayes one time, if I'm at ringside, I'm a babyface manager, which now without an antagonist like Paulie on the other side, you know, I'm kind of a spare prick at the wedding anyway, as Adrian Street would say. But, you know, we're having a big brawl with the Freebirds, and I'm trying to sneak up behind Michael to fucking whack him with the racket to give Bobby a graceful way to get away from him or whatever in the middle of all this chaos, and he kept turning around catching me for a shoot. So afterwards, I went up to him, I said, Michael, as I was trying to sneak up on you, I said, you kept catching me. I'm laughing, right? And he looked at me, he said, oh, if you hit me with the racket, I wouldn't sell it anyway. I said, what? He said, we got to get over strong, get some heat like the old days. We'll sell chairs, we're not going to sell like the... Animal and Hawk and Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair, whoever has sold the tennis racket, but suddenly Michael Hayes is goddamn Superman, he can't sell the tennis racket. I said, okay, motherfucker. You know, so finally it came to the fucking, where did it, in my book, 1989 Great American Bash on Tour, or What If They Gave a War and Nobody Came, it was, there we go, July 8th in Boston. The Freebirds, Michael Hayes, Jimmy Garvin, and Terry Gordy versus Bobby Eaton, Stan Lane, and Dr. Death, Steve Williams. We had very few incidents in our careers with opponents or with other wrestlers, but this was one of them. We were going into this bash tour. We'd already put them over in the finals for the World Tag Team title, and now we're wrestling them in six-mans. We had Dr. Death on our side, or tag team matches during a lot of the bash, which was drawing miserable fucking houses. And we get to the Boston Garden, where Stan Lane's debut in 1987, April 1987, came as a member of the Midnight Express in front of like a $150,000 house The Great American Bash drew $57,000, so that was like less than 5,000 people in the Boston Garden. And it's this long six-man where they give us some spots, right? And then, of course, I'm a spare prick over here because they got no manager. It's a six-man, all three of them in the ring. And then they get the heat on Bobby. Bobby sells, and they beat shit out of Bobby, beat shit out of Bobby. Then they give Stan the hot tag. He makes a comeback, which they moderately sell for, and then they fucking beat us. And then, while Stan's selling and Bobby's still kind of selling and Doc's checking on him and I'm starting to get in the ring, they decide they're going to get some more heat. We don't even know it's coming, and they jump us afterwards. And Dr. Death decided he fucking had enough. Good. So he goes out and grabs one of those old wooden chairs that they had in the Boston Garden, right? And he starts advancing on Jimmy Garvin. 5'10", 205-pound Jimmy Garvin on vitamins. And here comes Dr. Death with a chair, and Garvin will not fucking retreat. So Doc hauls that chair back over his head. I can still hear the sound. And he fucking swung, and Jimmy Garvin sees it coming and puts his arms up. Whack! And Jimmy Garvin goes, fuck! And Doc says, fuck with me! Whack! Fuck! Fuck with me! Whack! Fuck! Fuck with... As Jimmy is retreating, and Doc is beating him over the head and arms with this, and pieces of the chair that are not gimmicked are fucking flying, and goddamn Dr. Death, and then me and Bobby and Stan said, fuck, we're following our guy, right? And we're behind him, and he chased him out of the building. Terry Gordy was the only one in the whole match that sold half-ass reasonably well. And he's the only one that shouldn't have.
Any conversation in the locker room?
Yes, I'm about to get to it.
I bet you are.
The locker rooms were separate at that point. We hadn't dressed with them, but we went right on through to the fucking heel side, because now I'm figuring, well, fuck, this is going to be interesting, because Terry's on the other side and Doc's on our side, and we'll see what the fuck. You know, Bobby and Stan versus Michael and Jimmy would have probably been, I would give the edge to Bobby and Stan, and I had a fucking club in my hand, but the interesting thing was going to be Dr. Death and Terry Gordy. That's the wild card. But I got to stick with the team, right? So I go in not knowing what the fuck's going on, and as they all get in the fucking locker room, and Jimmy Garvin's arm is bleeding, and his fucking head has knots, and everybody started to turn like, here we go, and Bobby Eaton broke for the first time in memory I can ever recall, yelled at another wrestler in anger, hey, you know, we ain't just fucking here to get you guys over. And it's like everybody snapped out of it. And Terry, who Bobby had known all of them since they were fucking teenagers, Terry like turned around and said, you know, fuck, this is ridiculous. Because he's the only one who was selling for us to begin with. So with Terry not wanting to get physical and everybody snapped and said, Bobby is fucking mad, it dissipated. Jimmy Garvin had to take a few days off. He had bone chips in his elbow. He's all cut up. His fucking head was lumped. He didn't fuck with Dr. Death anymore. Wow. And they started to get a little bit better attitude and started selling a little bit more for us, regardless of what the finish was. But that was an interesting fucking
great
occurrence.